EBUDDHA Net's Book Library. Email bde@budnet.net. Website www.budnet.net. Buddha Dharma Education Association Incorporated. Translated into English by M.S. Pit Chin Hui. The Sutra on the Original Vows and the Attainment of Merits of Kesatigrabha Bodhisatta. The Sutra on the Original Vows and the Attainment of Merits of Kesatigrabha Bodhisatta. Sutra on the Original Vows, the Attainment of Merits of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. Translated from Chinese into English by Mississippi Pit Chin Hui, President of the Singapore Regional Center of the World Fellowship of Buddhists. 3. Kesatigrabha Bodhisattva Sutra. Contents. Chapter 1. 6. Ubiquitous supernatural powers of the Exalted Buddha at Trayastrimsa Heaven. Chapter 2. 19. The Assembly of the Transformations of Kesatigrabha Bodhisattva. Chapter 3. 23. Observations of retribution of human beings resulting from previous karmas. Chapter 4. 28. Evil actions and retributions of karma of human beings of the samsara world. 1. When he was the king of a small kingdom. 30. 2. When he was the daughter of a Brahmin. 31. 4. Chapter 5. 40. The names of different kinds of hells. 1. The Great Abyssi Hell. 40. 2. Hell of Interminable Punishment. 41. 3. Hell of Four Corners. 41. 4. Hell of Flying Knives. 41. 5. Hell of Burning Arrows. 41. 6. Hell of Crushing Mountains. 42. 7. Hell of Knife-like Spears. 42. 8. Hell of Iron Trains. 42. 9. Hell of Burning Iron Beds. 42. 10. Hell of Iron Cows or Oxen. 42. 11. Hell of Burning Iron Clothing. 42. 12. Hell of Thousands of Burning Iron Swords. 43. 13. Hell of Burning Iron Asses. 43. 14. Hell of Molten Brass. 43. 15. Hell of Brass Pillars. 43. 16. Hell of Burning Flames. 43. 17. Hell of Tongue Plows. 43. 18. Hell of Iron Saws. 44. 19. Hell of Burning Iron Ground. 44. 20. Hell of Iron Eagles. 44. 21. Hell of Burning Iron Balls. 44. 22. Hell of Quarrels. 44. 23. Hell of Iron Hammers. 44. 24. Hell of Great Anger. 44. 25. Hell of Wailing. 45. 26. hell of plucking tongues. 45. 27. Hell of urine and manure. 45. 28. Hell of brass locks. 45. 29. Hell of fire elephants. 45. 30. Hell of fire dogs. 45. 31. Hell of fire horses and fire cows. 46. 32. Hell of fire mountains. 46. 33. Hell of fire rocks. 46. 34. Hell of fire beds. 46. 35. Hell of fire beams. 46. 36. Hell of fire eagles. 46. 37. Hell of fire saws. 46. 5. Chapter 6. 51. Sakyamunit Buddha praising Kesiddhagarbha Bodhisattva. Chapter 7. 61. Benefiting the living and the dead. Chapter 8. 68. Appreciation of Emperor Yama and his followers. The ruler of Yamadevaloka and judge of the dead. Chapter 9. 82. The chanting of the Buddha's name. 1. Ananta, immeasurable, Buddha. 83. 2. Precious nature Buddha. 83. 3. Padmapani Buddha. 83. 4. Simhananda Buddha. 84. 5. Krakachanda Buddha. 84. 6. Vipasyan Buddha. 85. 7. Ratnakata Buddha. 85. 8. Precious Light Buddha. 85. 9. Kesaya Buddha. 86. 10. Mahapijana Jainanadhipha Buddha. 86. Chapter 10. 88. The comparison of merits for almsgiving. Chapter 11. 94. Earthly spirits protecting the Dhamma. Chapter 12. 98. The benefit through sight and hearing. Chapter 13. 111. Sakyamunit Buddha's instruction to human beings and devas. 6. Kesiddhagarbha Bodhisattva Sutra. Chapter 1. Ubiquitous supernatural powers of the exalted Buddha at Trayastrimsa heaven. Thus have I heard, at one time the world-honored one sojourned at the Trayastrimsa or Tavadamsa heaven and was preaching on his mother's behalf. At that time, innumerable Buddhas and Mahabodhisattvas from infinite world systems in the 10 quarters of space convened harmoniously, admiring the fully enlightened one, Sakya Muni, for his transcendental wisdom and infinite powers in guiding erring beings to understand the dissimilarity between the bases of happiness and sorrow in the world. They all escorted their attendants to offer homage to the honored one. The honored one smiled and radiated multi-radiant beams of infinite compassion, supreme wisdom, Benvo. 7. Lens, etc., dispatching forth into space sounds of the 6 Padamitas, sounds of infinite compassion, sounds of char. Ity, sounds of emancipation, sounds of bliss, sounds of transcendental wisdom, emitting lion roars, emitting great lion roars, emitting thunderous sounds, and a great number of other indescribable sounds. Many beings from the 10 quarters of space in this world and additional worlds had assembled jointly at Trayastrimsa heaven. They approached from celestial worlds such as the Kata, Megarajayakas, the 4 heavens of the 4 Deva kings, Trayastrimsa heaven, Tasiha heaven, Nirmanarati heaven, Paranirmitavasavardhan heaven, Brahmaparisadiya heaven, Brahma Purohitas heaven, Mahabrahman heaven, and from numerous other heavens. All devas, spirits, and dragons from the seas had combined together, as also beings from various worlds in this human world, such as spirits of the sea, storms, rivers, trees, hills, earth, spring, spirits of the fields, day, night, spirits of the empty spaces, the skies, of drink and food, spirits of the grass and woods, and all the other spirits. Likewise, there came beings from different worlds and they human one, such beings as great kings of Pretas, Asuras, succubus Pretas, Preta spirits of sickness, the Pretas of Poi. 8. Sun, the kings of the Pretas of joy and prosperity, the kings of Pretas of carnal love and prestige, and many Pretas and kings of Pretas had gathered happily together. At that time, Sakyamuni Buddha told Manjusri, prince of the Dhamma, now you perceive by mental vision that all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Devas, dragons, Pretas and spirits from this and other worlds from this country, including other lands, are assembled together in this Trayas Trimsa heaven. Do you know the precise number of them? All. Manjusri told the Buddha, O world-honored one, even though I have enormous powers developed through innumerable kalpas, I am not well acquainted with the exact number. The Buddha told Manjusri, even though I behold through the eyes of a Buddha, I, too, am unable to disclose to you the accurate number of all these deities. They are all those whom Ksatagarbha has converted and capably guided from long ago. Some are to be relieved and directed by him in the future. 9. Manjusri told the Buddha, O honored of the world, I have long practiced meritorious deeds and long ago attained unobstructed wisdom. Undeniably, I will trust your words, but those who pursue the Arahat path, the path of heavens, the worship of dragons, and many beings who will be born in future, will be doubtful and reluctant to adopt what you have strongly emphasized as the truth. Devas, Nagas, Yaksas, Gandharvas, Asuras, Kinnaras, Maho, Rags, and others of the 8 classes with humans to be born in the future will be filled with suspense and hesitant. Although you have pronounced the truth most zealously, if you compel them to believe, they will instead seek to spread evil of the teaching. Thereupon, I earnestly anticipate that the honored of the world will narrate to us the original vows of this Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva as he commenced his Bodhisattva career and how he labored to gain such inconceivable success and authority. The Buddha told Manjusri, suppose that every blade of grass, wood, forest, paddy field, hill, stone, dust mote. Every material thing though numerous as the sands of the Ganges, and though each sand grain is one world end, each dust mote is one kalpa, and all numbers are reversed into kalpas, that which he has done to accomplish they. 10. Das of Humi, 10 stages of the 52 sections of devil. Augment, even though they are more than can be mani. Fest by words, they are surpassed by the deeds of Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva in his Arahat and Pratyoka Buddha stages. Manjusri, this Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, his vows and his powers, are indeed inconceivable. If beings, both males and females, to be born in the future, shall listen to and hail the name of Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, institute homage to Ksiddhagarbha by chanting his name, communicating offerings to Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, and draw or carve his image or make likenesses of him, all these beings shall be born for 100 births into a special heaven. This is the Indratrayastrimsa heaven, 33 in number, the second of the 6 heavens of formation, and shall never descend into the 3 evil states forever. Manjusri, this Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva had been the son of a respected elder of unaccountable kalpas ago. At the time when he established his first resolve, there was a Buddha by the name of Lion Power. The youth examined with all the majestic appearance of the Buddha in quest to what he had conducted as a bodhisattva and what 11 vow he had performed to accomplish such a divine appearance. The Buddha imparted to the youth, if you want to gain such an appearance, you must attempt your utmost to relieve the sufferings of all sorrowful beings and continue this practice for a long, long time. Then the Sakya Muni Buddha told Manjusri that the Buddha Lion Power had counseled the youth to decide on a vow, as follows: I now determine to relieve the sufferings of beings in the 6 realms of suffering and sorrow, skillfully leading them to salvation through innumerable kalpas, before I myself attain Buddhahood. By the youth disciplining such a strong vow before the Buddha Lion Power, thereupon, for unaccountable kalpas, he has remained in the Bodhisattva stage. Again, there was another Buddha, at a time inconceivably long ago, who was named Buddha, a flower of meditation and enlightenment, and who survived to a very great age of millions of kalpas. There are 3 stages for discard in respect to a Buddha: A. To the Buddha incarnate, B. To his image, and C. A declaration of faith and respect. 12. At the second stage of offering respect to a Buddha, there was a Brahmin girl who had in past ages practiced great benevolences. Apart from being respected and honored by people, she had also been bestowed with relief and protection from devas ever since the beginning of her career of charity. But her mother refused to respect the truth of the Dhamma and always uttered evil against the triple gems. Although the sacred daughter, as she was called, subjected herself to excessive persuasion over her mother to embrace right understanding, the mother was thickly prejudiced against her daughter's counsel and guidance. When the mother died, she was reborn in the Avasai hell of unceasing sufferings, the last of the 8 hot hells where punishment continued without intermission. The Brahmin girl was fully aware that her mother did not accord to the doctrine of cause and effect and committed many evils in her life by such bad deeds. Therefore, she would surely sink into an evil birth in the lower hells of intense suffering. Conscious of this karma, the daughter parted with all her property and belongings by the offering of flowers and other forms of offering at the temple or pagoda of the Buddha, a flower of meditation and enlightenment. The image of the Buddha therein was 13. Magnificently carved and was to be admired in all appearances. She insinuated deep respect to this Buddha and sought reasoning solely by herself. This Buddha is fully enlightened and all-pervading in wisdom. If he were still embodied in this world of manifestation, I would request of him where my mother has been cast. I feel sure he would know the exact realm of her person. After such a thought, she knelt before the Buddha's image and was in a most tearful disposition for a considerable length of time. Suddenly, she contacted a voice from outer space, addressing her thus, "Sacred girl, whimper not so sorrowfully. I will impart to you where your mother has gone." The Brahmin girl clasped her hands in deep respect and replied to the voice, "What divine being will relieve me of my worries and apprehensions? Since my mother's death, I have been remembering her day and night in prayers, but I fail to discover where she is being reborn." Then the voice responded to her filial love, "I am the Buddha whom you are now leading your faith to, and I am aware of your devotion to your mother, which is quite different from that of other children. Thereby, I am here to enlighten you about her." When the Brahmin girl took heed of this, she fell to the ground and again wept bitterly in an almost end. 14. Less state. She feared that she would soon perish from the human world and implored the Buddha to avail her anxiety as to where her mother had been reborn. The Buddha replied, "Sacred girl, after your offering, return home early, be seated and compose yourself in meditation, then concentrate on my name quietly and you will then cherish the idea of associating where your mother is." When the Brahmin girl had finished paying homage, she went home and did as she had been instructed. After meditating for a day and night, she suddenly found herself on a great shore. She beheld many fierce iron-skinned animals hurrying back and forth, up and down, east and west, in a boiling sea. She also saw thousands and millions of men and women emotionally moving among the waves of the sea, attempting to escape from the cruel monsters with iron skins. Moreover, she attested Yaksas, demons on earth, or in the air, or in the lower planes which are malignant, violent and carnivorous. They have many feet, eyes, and heads, and have sword-like teeth. These Yaksas were driving the poor men and women to the cruel monsters, and they themselves confronted the men and women angrily. The sight was so dreadful that the girl dared not prolong her gaze, although by the power of the Buddha. 15. She was not struck with any fear for herself. At that time, there existed a king of the sea devils named King No. Poison, the poison caused by either actions, words and thoughts, who revealed his hospitality to her and entertained her saying, "Sacred girl, you are a good bodhisattva, why do you venture to come to such a place like this?" The Brahmin girl then requested for the name of the place. The poisonless devil king told the girl, "This is Mahachakravala, the first great sea in the west." The girl replied, "I was directed that there is a hell in the interior of this great circular iron enclosure. Is this true?" King No. Poison replied, "Yes, this is true." Then the girl asked, "Why is it that I have come to a hell?" King No Poison interpreted that it was either through the power of the Buddha or through her own good karmic power as otherwise she would never be able to visit Mahachakravala. The girl then queried why the water of the great ocean was boiling and had so many sinners and fierce animals within. Then King No Poison answered, "Those sinners are the new deaths from the human world. After having passed away for 49 days with no descendants to do good deeds to relieve them from their sufferings, and as a result of their having raised nothing for the benefit of humanity." 16. During their lifetime, but only that of committing sins in one way or another, their first punishment is to cross this sea of suffering, which extends 10 million miles eastwards. There is another sea, where sinners suffer double punishments. East of this latter sea in view is yet another sea of suffering where sinners suffer extreme tortures. The above three seas are called seas of sufferings. Those who have committed sins through actions, words and thoughts, are cast into these seas to be punished, as they should be, for their evil deeds. The sacred girl asked King No Poison, "Where is hell?" King No Poison answered, "Within the three seas of Fairings, there are thousands of varieties of hells. There are 18 great hells and 500 smaller ones where sinners have to undergo boundless punishments. Also, there are thousands of others where leniency is bestowed on all those who have not committed too serious offenses during their lifetime." The sacred girl said to King No Poison, "My mother has passed away recently. I am anxious to know where she has been sent." 17. King No Poison questioned the sacred girl, "What has your mother done during her lifetime?" The sacred girl replied, "My mother, during her lifetime, had envious views of the triple gems and had spoken evil against them. Many a time, she did strive to embrace faith in the exalted Buddha, but was insufficiently firm over it. She expired only a few days ago, and I have no idea where she is at the moment." King No Poison asked, "What is your mother's name?" The sacred girl responded, "Both my parents were Brahmans. The name of my father was Sila Sen Sen and the name of my mother was Utili." King No Poison answered the sacred girl with clasped hands and said, "My sacred girl, pray do not feel distressed and return home with a joyful heart, as your mother has ascended to heaven just 3 days ago. It was your earnest and filial devotion of making offerings to the Buddha, the flower of meditation and enlightenment, that your mother was relieved. Not only did your mother receive deliverance from hell, but all sinners of the Avazai. 18. Hell also benefited from it, for they ascended to heaven on the same day. After intimating to the sacred girl of her mother's salvation, the king of the devils retreated with clasped hands. With this enlightening message about her mother, the sacred girl felt that her earlier fears were unfounded. She then knelt before the Buddha, the flower of meditation and enlightenment, and expressed this strong vow: I shall exercise my best to relieve people of their soothfarings forever in my future lives of kalpas to come. Sakyamuni Buddha then told Manjusri Bodhisattva that the king of the devils, no poison, is now the Bodhisattva of wealth, and that the sacred girl has been named Kasitai Garbha Bodhisattva. 19. Chapter 2. The Assembly of the Transformations of Kasitai Bodhisattva. Just at that time, an unaccountable number of transforma times of the Kasitai Bodhisattva from hells of numerous universes assembled at Trayastrimsa heaven under the ubiquitous supernatural powers of the exalted Buddha, and an unaccountable number of others who, being spared of their sufferings, also came to the same place holding flowers and joss sticks in their hands to pay homage to the honored of the world. These beings had at one time been suffering endlessly, from kalpas to kalpas, in the ocean of birth and death. Through the great compassion and strong vows of the Kasitai Bodhisattva, they were converted by him and thus attained Buddhahood. They all assembled at the Trayastrimsa heaven and conveyed their fullest respect and admiration to the honored of the world by gazing at him attentively. Sakyamuni Buddha extended his golden arms to bless the unaccountable transformations of the Kasitai and 20. Said, you are truly to be commended for having fully converted so many human beings to real salvation. In fact, I have adapted myself to innumerable transforma times to lead all beings, either intelligent or ignorant, to righteousness and truth by all means. Although I have tried my utmost to convert the erring ones from this world of sufferings, I could see that there might be 1 or 2 out of every 10 who are still sinful. I ask you to seek transformations of other Buddhas to convert them in all possible ways and means. There are without doubt intelligent ones who are likely to be converted after my preaching and attain Buddhahood by my persuasion to practice good deeds, but unintelligent wrongdoers can only be converted after a lengthy period of preaching. For the stub-born ones, it is useless to expect any respect or faith from them. In spite of all the obstacles, I had endeavored to convert these miserable creatures and lead them to real salvation by performing different transformations. I performed transformation as males, females, devas, spirits, devils, mountains, forests, streams, rivers, pools, or any thing to bring benefit upon human beings and to convert them all without any exception. Again, I transformed into kings or emperors of heavens, Brahmins, or rulers of continents, followers of the Buddha, kings of countries, prime. 21. Ministers, officials of high ranks, bhikkhus or bhikkhunis. Upasikas, Saravakas, Arahats, Pakskabuddhas, or Bodhisattvas to convert mankind. Not only did I convert people in the form of the Buddha, but you should recollect how strenuously I have lived from kalpas to kalpas with unremitting toil to convert even stubborn beings to salva-tyan. Stubborn ones can still be found, and if they are cast into hell for punishment, you should remember how I request you to work earnestly to lift them to Buddhahood and enlightenment till the next Buddha, by the name of Maitreya Buddha, will be born to this world. Just at that moment, the various transformations of the Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva from different universes were seen consolidated into one form and, with tears in his eyes, said to the Buddha, "You have been kind enough to bestow upon me supernatural power and transcendental wisdom for kalpas and kalpas. May my innumerable transforma-tyans of different forms be successful to pervade various universes to lead mankind to real salvation. Though human beings have not the slightest interest in reaping good deeds, I shall strive to convert them gradually and bring great benefit and happiness to all. Pray, do not be disheartened over the evils of these beings, as I shall bear." 22. The full responsibility to convert them to the supreme state of Buddhahood. Again, Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva requested the honored of the world not to feel distressed over the evils of human beings in the generations to come by repeating his vow 3 times. Sakyamuni Buddha was thus highly delighted and said, "My blessings, I appreciate your strong vows and may you be praised for your efforts to heal the human world, and that your aim for Buddhahood after your firm resolution to convert them be achieved." 23. Chapter 3. Observations of retribution of human beings resulting from previous karmas. At that time, Queen Mahamaya, mother of the Buddha, asked Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva respectfully with clasped hands, "My Divine One, human beings in the samsara world commit different sins. What retribution do they receive for their karmas?" Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva replied by saying, "There are lions and millions of worlds. In some of them, you will find hells as we have in our samsara world. In some of them, there are no hells like the Sukhavati, Western Paradise. In some of them, there are females whilst in others there are none. In some, you will be able to hear the preaching of the Buddha, but in others people are not privileged to listen to the Dhamma. In some, there are Saravakas, Arahats, Pakskabuddhas, etc., whilst in others, these do not exist. Consequently, sufferings in different hells are numerous and cannot be explained in detail." 24. Queen Mahamaya asked once again, "I only seek to know the types of suffering for beings of the samsara world." Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva answered, "My sacred mother, I will relate to you in brief the retribution of karmas of Human beings in the human world are innumerable. Beings born disobedient to their parents or associated in bad ways are cast into the Abasai hell and will continue to suffer from kalpas to kalpas with no means of escape. People who do harm to the Buddha by destroying his images and speak of the triple gems disrespectfully or having no respect for the teaching of the Honored One, would be cast to the Abasai hell from kalpas to kalpas with no means of escape. Human beings who do harm to the sacred temples, commit adultery with monks or nuns or kill or harm others in sacred places, are cast into the Abasai hell for eternal suffering. Any being, following the practices of a monk with no pure embrace of the Dhamma, bullying others or committing various kinds of sins, is cast into the Abasai hell for similar punishment. Those who are prone to stealing things from temples, such as cash, rice, food, clothing, or anything, would similarly be thrown into the Abasai hell for continuous sufferings. 25. Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva repeated to Queen Mahamaya. Any of the above-named groups of sinners are punished perpetually. Queen Mahamaya asked Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva once again, what is the meaning of Abasai hell? Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva replied, Sacred Mother, there are different hells within the Mahachakravala. Besides the 18 big hells, there are some 500 others to be found with different names, and still another 1,000 hells. Abasai hells means hells reinforced with iron, rounded by iron walls, 8 million miles wide and 1 million miles high. These hells are fully filled with burning flames and are jointly linked up together with other hells of different names. Among them, there is one hell by the name of Abasai. The area of this Abasai hell is 8,000 square miles. The whole of this hell, with iron walls, is packed with burning flames, iron snakes and dogs with hot fire in this hell run from the east to the west. Also, there is an iron bed, and when one is cast there, he can see his own body filling it. Therefore, all beings are subjected to punishment according to their sins. Then, there are the Yaksas, demons, with eyes similar to that of electric bulbs and hands in the shape of steel claws to scratch the sinners. 26. Yaksas pierce the sinners' bodies, throw them into the air, and the fall kills them. There are also iron eagles which hook the eyes of sinners, and iron snakes which curl round sinners' necks. Long nails are pierced into the sinners' limbs. Their tongues are pulled out by iron thongs and their intestines are sawn up. Molten steel is poured into their mouths. Hot iron wires are used to bind their bodies. Sinners suffer according to their evil actions by encountering innumerable births and deaths for kalpas and kalpas without any hope of escape. When this world comes to an end, sinners will be transferred to another world, and in the new world they endure more punishment. The punishments in the Abasai hell are as mentioned above, and those subjected to them undergo the following 5 orders. 1. Sinners to be punished throughout the day and night. 4 kalpas after kalpas without any break, this Answers to suffering without an end of time. 2. To be spread over the bed of punishment in one form or other with no limit of space. 3. Sufferings without limit, as in the use of weapons for punishment such as iron fork, iron sticks, iron 27. Snakes, iron eagles, iron foxes, iron dogs, iron saws, iron hammers, iron pens, iron wires, iron ropes, iron asses, iron horses, iron balls, melted iron, as well as various kinds of iron weapons. 4. Whether they be males or females, civilized or uncivilized, old or young, rich or poor, devils or spirits, or even devas, must suffer for their unforgivable sins, committed according to their karmas without any difference. 5. To be cast into this hell for kulpas after kulpas, to suffer for different kinds of punishment, day and night endlessly, i.e. life without any break, and with no means of escape until their retribution of karma comes to an end. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva told Queen Mahamaya, "This is but a brief description of a visit to hell." To quote the names of hells, the types of punishment and instruments used will take a period of one kalpa. After listening to Ksitigarbha's discourse, Queen Mahamaya retreated respectfully with clasped hands and was seen in great sorrow. 28. Chapter 4. Evil actions and retributions of karma of human beings of the samsara world. At that time, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva told Sakyamuni, "Buddha, honored of the world, only through your transcendental powers am I then able to have transformations throughout millions and millions of universes to enlighten suffering beings to real salvation. It must be by your great compassion and supernatural power that I am also able to have such innumerable transformations. I solemnly promise to fulfill your instruction to continue to relieve beings from this state of suffering and to lead them to salvation. I shall strive to work hard until the next Buddha, Maitreya Buddha, comes to this world. Pray, do not despair." Sakyamuni Buddha then told Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, "The natural powers of perception of all those who have not yet been liberated from the samsara world are of an unsteady nature. Sometimes they do good deeds and sometimes they commit sins. They receive their karma." 29. According to their deeds, they have to undergo births and deaths, to be tested continuously at different stages in the ocean of sufferings from kalpas to kalpas. They will always be in one of the following 5 states. 1. Human beings. 2. Animals. 3. Subhumans in hells. 4. Ghosts. 5. Asuras. Like fish, they will be caught in nets. They may be set free for some time and be caught again. I am tremendously worried over these beings, but as you are so resolute to fulfill the strong vows, which you have made kalpas ago, to work unremittingly to lead the erring beings to salvation, I therefore feel the relief now." Just at that moment when Sakyamuni Buddha was speaking to Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, there was a Mahabodhi Sattva by the name of Isvaradeva, king of the devils, who spoke to the Buddha, honored of the world, you have been most generous to speak in favor of the Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva for the strong vows made by him to perform 30 kalpas after kalpas so energetically. Kindly relate to me in brief all that is determined by Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva. The Buddha then told the king of the devils, please listen carefully and attentively to what I say. 1. When he was a king of a small kingdom, innumerable kalpas ago, there was a Buddha by the name of Sarvajana Buddha, the accomplishment of Buddha wisdom. This Buddha lived a very long life of 6 million kalpas. Before he became a Buddha, he was a king of a small country. He was a great friend of the king in his neighborhood. Both kings practiced the 10 principles of righteousness. Unfortunately, the citizens of his boring country always committed sinful deeds. Consequently, the two kings consulted one another to discover ways and means of leading their citizens to live a virtuous life. The first king made a strong vow that he would do his best to be enlightened as soon as he could, so that he might enlighten his citizens to the path of salvation. The second king vowed that he would never become a Buddha unless he could bring about the moral progress of sinful citizens, when they would be able to achieve enlightenment. The king who vowed to become a Buddha is Sarvajana Buddha. 31. The accomplishment of Buddha wisdom. The other king who made a vow that he would never accept Buddhahood unless he could bring all erring beings to enlightenment is Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva. 2. When he was the daughter of a Brahmin. Again, innumerable kalpas ago, there was a Buddha by the name of Pure Lotus Eyes. He lived a long life of 40 kalpas. During the semblance of the period of the Buddha, there was an arahat who worked strenuously to convert beings by propagating the noble teachings of the Buddha. There was a girl by the name of Kongma, the girl with bright eyes. She made offerings to the arahat who asked her what her wish was. The girl replied, I did some good work on the day of my mother's death in order to relieve her from her sufferings. I long to know in what state my mother is at present. The arahat pitied her and started to meditate. He came to know that the mother of the girl had been cast into the hell of great sufferings. The arahat asked the girl what her mother did during her lifetime so as to be cast into the hell and to receive such severe punishment. The girl replied, my mother used to be very fond of eating tortoises, especially their eggs, and fishes fried or cooked. She therefore killed countless lives for food. 32. Passionate one, kindly let me know how to relieve my mother. Out of great compassion, the arahat told the girl to chant the name of the Buddha of Pure Lotus Eyes earnestly and respectfully, and that she should carve images of the above Buddha so that both the mother and herself could benefit from it. After being thus told by the arahat, the girl disposed of her precious belongings, and with the money she had an image of the exalted Buddha drawn and paid homage to it. Again, she begged to know where her mother was. Suddenly, one night, she saw the Buddha in the midst of a bright golden light as big as Mount Sumeru, telling her, "Thus, your mother will be born to your family as a son of a servant and will be able to speak as soon as she can feel cold and hunger." Before long, the servant in her family gave birth to a son. The newly born child spoke to the girl 3 days after his birth. This newly born infant said to the girl who was weeping bitterly, "Whatever evil deeds one has done, one will receive punishment without exception. I am your mother. After my departure from you, I was cast into a dreadful hell to suffer severe punishment. It was on account of the good deeds offered by you that I am now born as a son of your servant. But, owing to the evil 33 deeds which I committed during my life, I can only live to the age of 13 and will again be cast into the hell. My child, what ways and means can you find to relieve me from my sufferings?" Upon hearing this, the girl was certain that the newly born infant was her mother. The girl then asked the newly born child, "Since you were my mother in your last life, you ought to know what sins were committed by you so that you were cast into hell." The child answered, "I have committed 2 sins, both by killing lives and speaking evil as well as scolding others. Without your help, by practicing good deeds, I can never be relieved from my sufferings." The girl then asked the infant, "What kind of suffering were you subjected to in hell?" The mother replied, "The sufferings were so numerous that I cannot fully relate them even if given 1,000 years to do so." Upon hearing this, the girl then wept bitterly again, "May my mother be relieved from hell forever." Later the child died, at the age of 13. Meanwhile, the girl was seen calling, "O Buddha of the 10 directions of space, please be compassionate and listen to me. If my mother can be relieved from the 3 states of sufferings or be born into an inferior family or will 34 never be born a female again, I now make a strong vow in front of the image of the Buddha of pure lotus eyes, I shall continue to forge ahead unremittingly to relieve all suffering beings from hells as well as in any state of suffering from every universe and lead them to real salvation. I shall accept Buddhahood only when I have completed the relief of all beings from their sufferings." After making such a firm declaration, the Buddha of the pure lotus eyes then told the girl, "You are really a filial daughter to make such a strong vow for the benefit of your mother. May your mother be born as a Brahmacharan, a young Brahmin after living for 13 years. She will then live for 100 years. After that, she will be reborn in the universe where she will not suffer anymore, and there she will enjoy life for kalpas and kalpas until she finally achieves Buddhahood. Then, she will be able to convert as many human beings as the grains of sand in the Ganges River." Sakyamuni Buddha told the king of devils, the Arahat, who helped the girl with bright eyes to relieve her mother, is Aksayamati Bodhisattva. The mother of the girl with bright eyes is at present the Bodhisattva of emancipation. 35. The girl with bright eyes is at present the Kesiddhagarbha Bodhisattva. Kesiddhagarbha Bodhisattva was noted for his compassion and sympathy through kalpa after kalpa by making innumerable vows to lead the erring world to salvation. If any male or female in the future, through ignorance, does not break ties good deeds but commits sins through actions, words, and thoughts or ignores the law of cause and effect, they will always suffer in any one of the states of sufferings. But, after the chance of meeting a person with wisdom, who persuades them to pay respect to the Kesiddhagarbha Bodhisattva even for only a short length of time, they will certainly be relieved from the 3 states of sufferings. Anyone who relies on Kesiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, pays homage to him or sincerely praises his meritorious acts, makes offerings of scented flowers and robes, jewels, and various foods and beverages, will be reborn in the realms of seals. Tile happiness for innumerable kalpas. When the effect of these meritorious deeds comes to an end, they will be reborn as kings of countries for hundreds of kalpas. These 36 rulers will remember the links of causation in their us lives. Then Sakyamuni Buddha told his Svaradavarajya, because the infinite powers of Kesiddhagarbha Bodhisattva prove to be so great and the benefits he bestows on beings are so inconceivably boundless, therefore you Bodhisattvas must remember his sutra and endeavor to propagate it far and wide. Is Svaradavarajya then addressed Sakyamuni Buddha? Honored of the world, be not apprehensive, we, millions and millions of Mahabodhisattvas, will surely carry out your instructions and, by the grace of your infinite powers, we shall propagate the Kesiddhagarbha Bodhisattva Sutra far and wide and bring happiness and benefit to the beings of the samsara world. After this promise, Svaradavarajya returned to his seat with hands clasped in adoration. The Maharaja Deva kings of the 4 quarters rose reverently from their seats and said to Sakyamuni Buddha, Lord of the world, since Kesiddhagarbha Bodhisattva has made such great vows kalpas and kalpas ago, why are there still unconverted beings and why was it necessary for Kesiddhagarbha to renew his vows? Sakyamuni Buddha told the 4 Deva kings, very well, your question is very good. For the welfare of the 4 Deva kings, Devas, and beings of 37. The heavens or the worlds, at this time and for the future. I shall tell you how Kesiddhagarbha Bodhisattva with great compassion, relieved erring beings of the samsara world from the ocean of birth and death, leading them to emancipation. The 4 Deva kings replied, we will listen most attentively to your words. Sakyamuni Buddha continued, although Kesiddhagarbha Bodhisattva has converted erring beings through the kalpas, he is still not satisfied. He has great pity for those who wander in sin, knowing that no matter how hard they try, they will fall back into erring actions again and again. They are like linked grass which spreads far and wide. Therefore, Kesiddhagarbha Bodhisattva has renewed his vows again and again. He has unceasingly tried to find upaya, devices, suitable for saving the sinful, and converting them to the eternal truth. Then Sakyamuni Buddha spoke again to the four Deva kings, saying, if Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva encounters beings who commit sin by killing, he helps them to realize that such sins shorten their lives. If he encounters thieves and robbers, he will lead them to understand that such evil actions will bring suffering and poverty to those who commit them. When he meets adulterers, he tells them that they will be reborn as pigeons which are inseparable. He 38 tells those addicted to harsh language that they will be born into quarrelsome families. If scandalmongers are met, then he warns them of the danger of being born without tongues or with horrible boils in their mouths. He assures those with hot tempers that they may risk being reborn with ugly faces and deformed bodies. Misers will not be successful in gaining their wishes, greedy beings will suffer hunger and thirst, and sickness of the throat. When he encounters hunters, he warns them that they are in danger of dying by violence. Those who are guilty of disrespect for their parents will die in warfare. Those who burn forests will die mentally unbalanced. Those who are unkind to stepchildren will eventually receive the same treatment. Those who catch living things in nets will be separated from their children and families. Those who despise the triple gems will be reborn deaf, dumb and blind. Those who have no respect for the teachings of the Buddha are always reborn in the evil realms of suffering. Those who steal from temples will be reborn in hells for kalpa's end. Kalpas. Monks and nuns guilty of sexual misconduct will be reborn as animals endlessly. Also the laity will be included in this punishment if they are well instructed in the precepts but violate them. Those beings who harm people with boiling water, fire, cutting or otherwise injuring them. 39. Will, in their next life, receive the same treatment. Those who encourage others to break the precepts shall be reborn as animals always suffering from hunger. Those who are guilty of stupid extravagance will never get their wishes fulfilled. Those who are proud and look down on others will have low births. Gossipers and talebearers will be reborn without tongues or else with 100 tongues. Those who cling to wrong views will be reborn in uncivilized places and endure suffering. Erring beings who commit sins in actions, words and thoughts are countless, so that I can only tell you some of them. Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva knows that erring beings are different from one another and he accommodates himself to lead and teach them all, leading them to conversion. Evil beings suffer in this lifetime for their evil deeds and upon death will be reborn into the hells for kalpa's end. Kalpas before they can emerge therefrom. It is the duty of you Deva kings of the four quarters to protect your subjects and countries and lead them away from the countless sins. After hearing this discourse, the Deva kings wept and departed sorrowfully, with clasped hands, reverently. 40. Chapter 5. The names of different kinds of hells. At that time, Samantapidra Mahabodhisattva requested. Kesadagarva Bodhisattva saying, My meritorious one, please be kind enough to relate to devas, dragons, and all beings of the samsara world, in the present and the future, the names of different hells and the kinds of punishment for committing sins, so that beings in the future genera times will realize the result of evil deeds and therefore will avoid evil. Kesadagarva Bodhisattva replied, My compassionate one, under the supernatural powers of the Buddha and your kind support, I now give you the names of hells and the kinds of punishment for sinners in brief. 1. The Great Avasai Hell, at the east of the Mahachakravala mountain, which is extremely cold, for there is neither light of the sun nor the moon. There is a great hell by the name of Great Avasai. 41. Punishments in this hell comprise of pain, form, birth and death. Such punishments continue without intermission. 2. Hell of interminable punishment, where the wailing and screaming of sinners is heard because of pain. 3. Hell of four corners, where hot and burning iron walls surround this hell end, with flames of fire falling on the sinners like heavy rain drops. After the sinners are burnt to death, they are reborn for further sufferings. 4. Hell of flying knives. This hell is surrounded by mountains made of knives. In the air, there are millions and millions of sharp walls with curved knives which will fall on the sinners. When the knives fall on the sinners' bodies, the bodies will be slashed to pieces. 5. Hell of burning arrows, where millions of burning arrows pierce through the sinners' hearts and bodies. 42. 6. Hell of crushing mountains, where sinners will be crushed to pieces between two mountains. 7. Hell of knife-like spears, where sinners' bodies will pierce through by these spears. 8. Hell of iron trains, where sinners' bodies are turned and run over by the burning iron wheels of these trains. 9. Hell of burning iron beds, where sinners' bodies are placed on these beds to be burned to death. 10. Hell of iron cows or oxen, where sinners are pierced or stepped over by the horns or hoofs of these cows or oxen. 11. Hell of burning iron clothing, where sinners are wrapped up by the burning iron clothing. 43. 12. Hell of thousands of burning iron swords, where sinners are forced to lie on them which pierce through their bodies. Knives are also seen flying from the air, hitting the sinners' bodies and cutting them to pieces. 13. Hell of burning iron asses, where sinners are forced to ride on them. 14. Hell of molten brass, where sinners have molten brass poured into their mouths. 15. Hell of brass pillars, where sinners are forced to embrace the burning brass pillars. 16. Hell of burning flames, where sinners' bodies are burned by the flames falling on them like raindrops without any chance for them to escape. 17. Hell of tongue plows, where sinners' tongues are used as plows to plow the land. 44. 18. Hell of iron saws, where the heads of sinners are sawed. 19. Hell of burning iron ground, where sinners are forced to walk on it with bare feet. 20. Hell of iron eagles, where sinners' eyes are pecked by iron eagles. 21. Hell of burning iron balls, where sinners are forced to swallow the balls. 22. Hell of quarrels, where sinners are burnt with iron claws and always seen in fights with one another. 23. Hell of iron hammers, where sinners are smashed by the iron hammers. 24. Hell of great anger, where sinners are made to fight against one another angrily. 45. Ksadagarba Bodhisattva said again, my compassionate one, inside the Mahachhakravala there are innumerable such hells of punishment. Again, there are 25. Hell of wailing, where sinners are thrown into the burning tanks with molten iron and they wail on account of severe pain. 26. Hell of plucking tongues, where sinners' tongues are plucked by iron hooks. 27. Hell of urine and manure, where sinners are driven into the pit of urine and manure. 28. Hell of brass locks, where sinners are locked against the iron mountain and made to run. 29. Hell of fire elephants, where sinners are chased by burning elephants. 30. Hell of fire dogs, where sinners are bitten by them. 46. 31. Hell of fire horses and fire cows, where sinners are chased or stepped on by the burning animals. 32. Hell of fire mountains, where sinners are forced to walk between them and be crushed into ashes. 33. Hell of fire rocks, where sinners are forced to lie on the iron burning rocks, with such rocks pressed against them. 34. Hell of fire beds, where sinners are forced to lie on them. 35. Hell of fire beams, where sinners are hanged on them. 36. Hell of fire eagles, where sinners are attacked by them. 37. Hell of fire saws, where sinners' bodies and teeth are sawed. 47. And again, there is a hell where sinners' skins are stripped. There is a hell where the blood of sinners is sucked. There is a hell where the feet and hands of sinners are burned. There is a hell of iron trees with sharp thorns where sinners are dragged against the burning thorns. There are hells of burning iron houses where sinners are to be locked within them and then burned to ashes. There is a hell of iron wolves which either run after or stamp on sinners' bodies and even bite them to pieces. Inside such hells, there are various kinds of small ones, either 1, 2, 3, 4, or even up to hundreds and thousands of smaller hells with different names. Ksadagarba Bodhisattva then told Samantabhadra Maha Bodhisattva and said, my meritorious one, the above hells are formed purposely to punish all beings who are of the bad habits to commit sins, either through their actions, words or thoughts. The power of cause and effect is so great and inevitable. It can be compared to being as big as Mount Sumeru and as deep as the great ocean. Evil sins. 48. Are obstacles preventing us from practicing meritorious deeds to aim for Buddhahood. That is why all beings should be cautious not to commit even the smallest sin. Never think that a small sin will not get any punishment in return. After one is dead, he or she will be cast into the hell to be punished even for the smallest evil deed done. Close relatives, as that of a father and his children, may find themselves cast into different hells when they meet. At the same hell, however, they are not permitted as well as being reluctant to suffer on behalf of their beloved ones. By the supernatural power of our honored one, the Sakyamuni Buddha, I am now only relating to you the punishment of different hells in brief. I hope you will be kind enough to listen to me. Then Samantapidra Mahabodhisattva replied, I have come to know about the punishment of evil deeds through actions, words, and thoughts long ago. I earnestly hope that my compassionate one will kindly speak about the law of cause and effect so that every being of the future generation will learn the lesson from you to abstain from doing bad deeds, but to practice meritorious ones by aiming to attain Buddhahood. 49. Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva said again, my compassionate one, the punishments in hells are as real as such. There are hells where the tongues of sinners are used as plows. In some of the hells, the hearts of sinners are pulled out and eaten by yaksas. In some hells, the sinners have to be put into boiling tanks and be boiled to death. In some of the hells, sinners are forced to embrace burning brass pillars. In some of the hells, sinners are circulated by burning flame. Inside some of the hells, it is extremely cold and sinners are frozen to death. In some of the hells, sinners have to float among the dirt of urine and manure. In some of the hells, there are flying iron weapons which crush the sinners' bodies. In some of the hells, there are burning spears which pierce through the suffering sinners. In some of the hells, the bodies of sinners are knocked against by iron sticks. In some of the hells, the hands and feet of sinners are made to hold or walk on burning irons. In some of the hells, the bodies of sinners are curled around by iron snakes. In some of the hells, sinners are chased by iron dogs. In some of the hells, sinners are forced to ride on iron asses. 50. People who have committed sins by killing, theft, adultery, lying, slandering, abusing, gossiping, craving and anger have to be cast into the above hells for punishment without any chance of escape. My compassionate one, the weapons of punishment in the various hells are innumerable in kinds, either made of brass, iron, stone, or fire. The stubbornness of all beings are as strong as brass, iron, and stone, which are difficult to break. The power of cause and effect on sinners is as dangerous as fire, which will spread rapidly and burn things to ashes. If I am to speak about the sufferings of hells in detail, there are hundreds and thousands of various kinds of sufferings in each hell. Evidently, there will be more sufferings in more hells. Under the supernatural power of our honored one, the Sakyamuni Buddha, and at your kind request, I am now only relating the sufferings in hells. Very briefly, if I am to speak about the sufferings and punishments in hells in detail, I cannot fully express them, even through kalpas and kalpas. 51. Chapter 6. Sakyamuni Buddha praising Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva. Sakyamuni Buddha radiated great brilliant light to all the Buddha worlds, as many as the grains of sands on the shores of the Ganges River. He sent his great voice to all the Mahabodhisattvas, Devas, Dragon Kings, spirits and human beings, as well as the other sentient beings in the Buddha worlds. Listen to me today. I am praising the Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva on how he converted and will continue to convert all erring beings in the 10 quarters of space by incalculable infinite powers and infinite love and compassion. I hope you will endeavor in your utmost to protect and propagate the Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva Sutra, so as to lead all beings to attain enlightenment after I enter Nibbana. After Sakyamuni Buddha had spoken, Universal Bodhisattva spoke to the Sakyamuni Buddha with clasped hands respectfully. I have just heard your honored self praising the Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva for his incalculable, infinite powers in relieving sentient beings, and hope that you, the honored of the world, will tell us in more detail. 52. The ways and means by which Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva brings happiness and benefit to sentient beings so that future generations may understand and practice the teachings. At that time, Sakyamuni Buddha told the Universal Bodhisattva and all those who were present, please listen to me carefully. I will tell you all briefly how Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva converted sentient beings and brought them happiness and good merit. Universal Bodhisattva replied, please speak, honored of the world, and we shall all listen to you carefully. Sakyamuni Buddha told the Universal Bodhisattva, if both males and females in the future will chant the name of Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva with clasped hands, praising him, paying homage to him, or admiring him, all those people will be exonerated from the sins that they have committed even 30 kalpas ago. Universal Bodhisattva, if both males and females draw the image of Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva with colors or make images of him in earth, stone, wood, gold, silver, brass, or iron, and pay homage to him only once, or look at the image of his likeness only once, all of these sentient beings will be reborn in the 33 heavens for 100 births and will never pass into the evil realms forever. When their happiness in the heavens come to an end, they shall be reborn in the human world as kings of countries. 53. If females do not wish to be reborn as females, they must do their very best to make offerings to the images of Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva in any likeness continuously without any retreat. If they always continue to make offerings with scented flowers, drinks, food, clothing, embroidered scrolls, money, jewels, etc., such women will never be reborn as females for thousands of kalpas after this life. If They desire through compassion to be reborn as females. Again, in order to convert sentient beings, they may do so. If they do not wish to be reborn as females, then through the infinite powers of Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, for millions of kalpas, they will not be reborn as females. Again, universal Bodhisattva, if there are females who are born with ugly faces or ill health, they may simply pay homage to Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva by looking at his image for a short time with full respect, and such females will be reborn with beautiful faces for millions of kalpas in the future. If such ugly females do wish to be reborn as females again, through their merit of paying homage to Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva earnestly, they will receive the happiness of being reborn as queens of countries or daughters of nobles, for millions of rebirths, and they will have beautiful appearances. Again, universal Bodhisattva, if there are males and females who play music or chant mantra in 54. Praise of Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva or offerings scented flow ers to him themselves, or if they encourage one or more persons to follow them by doing the same thing, then all of these beings will have thousands of spirits and devas protecting them day and night in the present life and in the lives to come. They will see no evil, nor encounter any evil, or even hear any evil at all forever. Sakyamuni Buddha said to Universal Bodhisattva again, if there are wicked sentient beings jeering and laughing at people and those who make offerings, praisings, paying homage to the image of Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, saying that they will get no benefit or merit out of this, or by turning their faces away from them, or trying to encourage one person or more persons to stop doing such good acts or deeds, or by even a single thought against these people, paying tribute to Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, then they will be born into the Abhisai hell for kalpas and receive heavy punishment even after many Buddhas enter Nibbana. After their punishment, they will be reborn as Pretas for thousands of kalpas. After that, they will be born as animals for kalpas and kalpas. They may be reborn as human beings after that, but will suffer great poverty, low births, 55, and be handicapped in one way or another. Their previous karma will cast them into the evil realms again very soon. Sakyamuni Buddha again addressed Universal Bodhisattva to ridicule others for paying respect and making offerings to Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva will incur such heavy punishment that it will be more dangerous by far than having erroneous views on the transformations of Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, destroying his images and belittling his teachings. Sakyamuni Buddha continued, if there are those who are long in the beds of suffering, whose illnesses are very great, continuing for years and years, having bad dreams, dreams of fierce devils, seeing their dead relatives in those dreams, or dreaming of traveling on dangerous paths, or with devils, and perchance they shout aloud in those disturbing dreams. All those sufferings are the result of evil deeds done before in their last lives, and their retribution is as yet undecided in its severity. Even though the ill persons are sick unto death but cannot die, the karmic reason therefore not being visible to the human eye, If someone will chant loudly the Ksatagarbha Sutra before images of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and will take the 56 cherished belongings of the ill person, jewels, raiment, or other properties, saying, on behalf of the sick person, we are making these offerings and paying homage. If they venerate Buddha images or make likenesses of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, or shall construct pagodas or temples, or endow oil lamps, or if they shall bestow char ity on temples, repeating the verbal part of the offering in front of the sick person and within his hearing distance, for 3 times, even though the sick person has already passed away, such information as mentioned above should be continuous for 7 days loudly. The Ksatagarbha Sutra should also be chanted loudly during this period. Such benefited persons will be free forever from being cast into the 5 Avasai hells for severe punishment. They will also have recollection of their previous lives in their rebirths. If males and females write or copy the Ksatagarbha Sutra, or teach others to write it or to make his images or teach others to do so, this will produce benefits greater than by the above described way. Sakyamuni Buddha continued speaking to Universal Bodhisattva. If you find persons who chant the Ksatagarbha 57 Garbha Sutra, or who have even one thought of praise of this sutra or showing respect for him, pray persuade them by all means to persevere unremittingly in such work, never looking back. Tell them they will achieve inconceivable merits in the present and in the future. If sentient beings in the future should see visions of devils, spirits or other forms, crying, sighing, or frightening them, they are their families from previous lives. All are in evil realms from which they are unable to emerge and are begging for benevolent acts done on their behalf in order that they may be relieved of their sufferings. Sakyamuni Buddha told Universal Bodhisattva, please tell those who have frightening visions to chant the Ksatagarbha Sutra before images of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and, if they cannot do this themselves, they should ask someone else to act for them, for 3 or 7 times. When the deceased relatives have heard the Ksatagarbha Sutra for a few times, these deceased ones will find relief and be led to salvation. Thereafter, the living ones will not again dream of the deceased relatives. 58. If there are people of low birth, being servants of others, and without freedom, please afford them to understand that they are reaping the results of bad karma from their previous existences. Tell them to repent and to pay homage to Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva for 1 to 7 days, chanting the Bodhisattva's name 10,000 times. The resultant good merit of these people of low birth will bring them into high births for innumerable births, and they shall never again fall into the evil realms. If inhabitants of Jambudvipa in future times shall, at the advent of newly born children, cause the parents to chant the Ksatagarbha Sutra and his name 10,000 times, then the newly born children, whether male or female, will achieve expiation of the sins of their previous lives and will live long and happy lives. If all those about to be born into this life have done meritorious deeds in their previous existences, their lives here will be even longer and happier. Dwellers in the Jambudvipa world who are guilty of such sins in their daily life as killing, stealing, adultery, lying, etc., are advised to chant the Kesadagarbha Sutra before images of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas for 10 days within a month, such as the first day, the 8th, 14th, 5th, 59th, 18th, 23rd, 24th, 28th, 29th, and 30th days, once a day. There will be no suffering to yojanas of distance, east, west, north and south. Within the family, everyone, whether young or old, will not again be born into evil realms for thousands of years. If people can chant the Kesadagarbha Sutra on the above 10 fasting days of the month, they will not suffer from sickness and will enjoy every comfort in life. That is why, Universal Bodhisattva, you ought to know that Kesadagarbha Bodhisattva has such vividly great power and has accomplished so much to bring benefit to sentient beings. Beings in the Jambudvipa world are closely linked to the Kesadagarbha Bodhisattva, and that is why when those people hear his name or see his likeness or hear even so much as 3 words, 5 words, 1 stanza, or 1 sentence of his teaching, will live happily and contentedly in the present birth and will be reborn into noble families with pleasant complexion in future for millions of rebirths. At that time, the universal Bodhisattva, having heard Sakyamuni Buddha praising Kesadagarbha Bodhisattva, knelt with clasped hands reverently and spoke to the 60 Buddha, saying, "Honored of the world, I have long noted the inconceivable infinite powers of Kesadagarbha Bodhisattva and his great vows to bring benefits and happiness to sentient beings. That is why I inquire about his wonderful powers and his activities in following and spreading the teachings, which I promise to follow and spread by my own efforts. Will the honored of the world graciously tell us the name of this sutra and indicate to me the ways and means of propagating this noble teaching?" Sakyamuni Buddha replied, "This sutra has 3 names, as follows. 1. Kesadagarbha's fundamental vows. 2. Kesadagarbha's fundamental practices. 3. Kesadagarbha's fundamental determination. Since Kesadagarbha made such great vows kalpas ago to bring happiness and benefits to sentient beings, it is the duty of all of you to harmonize yourselves with those vows, and to propagate them." After Universal Bodhisattva heard what Sakyamuni Buddha had said, he withdrew with clasped hands reverently. 61. Chapter 7. Benefiting the living, the dead. At that time, Kesadagarbha Mahabodhisattva said to Sakya Muni Buddha, "Honored of the world, I can see that beings in Jambudvipa have committed sins and actions, words and thoughts. If they have any opportunity to do good, they act with flagging zeal. When opportunity presents itself for the commission of evil deeds, they continue in evil. Such sentient beings are those walking in a mire with heavy loads on their backs. The farther they go, the deeper they sink and the heavier the burden. If they encounter wise persons, they are asked to carry half of the load or all. Owing to the superior energy of the wise, they not only are able to give aid but also to counsel the erring ones to stand firm, determined to err no more once out of the slough of evil, thereafter avoiding all evil ways. Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva again said to the Buddha, art of the world. The bad habits of those people often originate in something as small as a mote, but they gradually increase. Their parents, family, and friends ought to 62. Perform some benevolence on their behalf when the erring ones are about to depart from this life. They can either hang banners bearing sacred texts or burn oil lamps or chant the sutras, or they may make offerings before one or more Buddha images, or images of bodhisattvas. It is meritorious for the relatives to chant the names of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Paksha-Buddhas, or even to chant one name or one title of the above sacred ones in front of the dying person within his or her hearing. Their sins, which may cause them to be cast into the evil realms to suffer, will be expiated solely because their families are doing these aforedescribed pious actions on their behalf. When dying persons have passed away and their relatives continue to perform meritorious acts on their behalf, within 49 days immediately after their death, it is assured that the departed ones will never be reborn in an evil state but will go into a heaven or be reborn to the human world to enjoy longevity and felicity. The living relatives of the departed one, because of their pious acts, will themselves receive inconceivable benefits. I hope the honored of the world, devas, dragons, asuras, pretas, maharajs, humans and subhumans will all 63. Endeavor to persuade the dwellers in Jambudvipa not to commit sin by killing or any other deed of evil, such offering living sacrifices to spirits or gods on behalf of their departed ones. Why should you not kill? Because your deed of offering blood sacrifice will not give even the smallest benefit to the deceased, but will actually increase their sufferings. Their future woe will be more severe as the result of this bloodshed. If the deceased have done some good deeds during life, that would help them to a heavenly rebirth or again as a human, but the evil acts performed on their behalf by relatives will act against their welfare and delay their progress towards liberation. If those dying beings have no good deeds to their credit, and, according to their personal karma, they merit evil births, why should their families be so ill-advised as to do the sin of killing on their behalf? Just as if a person who had suffered hunger for 3 days and traveled from afar, carrying a heavy load of more than 100 katas, and some neighbors suddenly added to the load, the total weight would become unbearable. 64. Honored of the world, it is visible to me that if inhabitants of Jambudvipa can follow the Buddha's doctrines to do good even as the size of a hair, a drop of water, a grain of sand, one dust mote, they themselves will get benefits personally, according to their own karma. Just at that time, an honorable elder known as the Elder of Eloquence, who had attained the state of never returned, joined the assemblage. He had converted beings in the 10 quarters of space, in the form of a transforma. Tie-in with clasped hands, he inquired Kesa-Dagarbha. Bodhisattva reverently, Bodhisattva, if relatives of erring, deceased beings, whether adult or juvenile, do pious deeds, on their behalf will great benefit or salvation come to them. Kesa-Dagarbha Bodhisattva replied, My elderly one, under the supernatural power of the Sakyamuni Buddha, for the benefit of all beings of the present and the generations yet to come, may I answer you in brief. Any sentient being, now and hereafter, who hears the name of but one Buddha, or Bodhisattva or one Pakska Buddha at his dying moment, no matter whether this being be sinful or virtue. 65. Thus, he shall be led eventually to salvation. If anyone, male or female, fails during his lifetime to do meritorious actions, but lives sinfully, then his relatives, whether young or old, ought to do good deeds on his behalf and practice pious observances for him after his death. The departed ones gain 1/7 of the merits of such good and pious acts, and the remaining 6/7 rebound to the benefit of the living ones who practice these acts of piety. That is why beings of the present and the future should practice meritorious deeds during their lifetime, when they are still strong and healthy. The whole merit to offer such good deeds will be achieved by themselves personally. Time is transient, and death will come to one at any moment. Within the 49 days after one's death, one is ignorant of his or her karma. During the period of judgment of one's past deeds, he or she is unable to know what will be the consequences of the future and thereby is extremely worried. If one has done some evil deeds during one's lifetime, one will certainly be cast into the evil state of suffering. Within the period of 49 days of one's death, he or she is expecting one's own children or relatives to do good deeds on his or her behalf and thus be relieved of suffering. After the 49 days of one's death, one is bound to receive whatever karma one should 66 deserve. If one has done evil deeds during one's lifetime, one is subjected to endure sufferings without any help of freedom for thousands of years. One's karma is able to induce one to be cast into one of the 5 abyssal hells or in one of the great hells to continue to suffer for millions of kalpas forever. Again, my elderly one, if relatives and children of the sinful one make offerings of vegetarian food to the Buddha as well as to monks after his death, such good deeds will help the sinful to be relieved from his suffering. Before the meal time of monks, while vegetarian food is under preparation, no edible things should be thrown on the floor and be wasted. The living children and relatives of the deceased should not eat before offering such food to the images of the Buddha and the venerable monks. If the living ones are not following the above advice earnestly, the deceased will not benefit at all. If they follow the advice piously and energetically, they will get 1/7 of the merit. That is why, my elderly one, if beings of the Jamutpapa world can offer vegetarian food, both to the images of the Buddha and the monks, with respect, not only their deceased parents or relatives will receive the benefit but they themselves, the living ones, will also greatly benefit. 67. After what Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva had said, millions of spirits and ghosts, who had assembled at the 33 heavens from the Jamutpapa world, decided to follow the noble teachings of Sakyamuni Buddha to guide beings to abstain from bad deeds and to practice meritorious ones. Then the elderly person retreated with full respect. 68. Chapter 8. Appreciation of Emperor Yama. His followers, the ruler of Yamadevaloka, judge of the dead. At that time, Emperor Yama of the hells came to Tasika heaven from Mahachakravala with an innumerable number of his followers, as listed below, to pay respect to the Sakyamuni Buddha. L. Devil King, who possesses a resolute attitude towards the poisonous group of evildoers, for evils committed through actions, words, and thoughts are classed as poison. This king of devils leads erring beings to abstain from bad deeds and to practice the good life by showing them the poisonous result of committing sins. 2. Devil King of violent anger. The outer appearance of this king of devils is frightfully fierce, but his thoughts are compassionate. He tries to convert stubborn and erring beings from committing bad deeds by way of being stern although greatly compassionate inwardly. Thus, he leads the erring to righteousness gradually. 69. 3. Devil King of quarrels. Love and hatred, greed and jealousy are the sources of quarrels. This king of devils shows the harmful result of quarrels. As a result, he leads the erring to the happy path of harmony. 4. Devil King, who applies the attitude of a roaring tiger. Tigers are fierce and harmful animals. Evil deeds induce people to commit sins as harmful as tigers. 5. Devil King of disaster. This king of devils illustrates the misery of being disobedient to elders and the disastrous result that is to follow later. Therefore, he endeavors to lead such beings to righteousness. 6. Devil King, who possesses the power to fly. The flying Yaksas are led to the path of righteousness by this king of devils. 7. Devil King, who possesses a pair of strikingly electrical form of eyes. This king of devils judges skillfully the right from the wrong. He punishes the wicked with misery, but he bestows happiness upon the meritorious ones. 8. Devil King with fox-like teeth. Foxes are sly animals. This king of devils shows the harmful results of being 70. Sly and perseveringly reforms sinful beings to practice good deeds. 9. Devil King, who possesses 1,000 eyes and 1,000 hands. This king of devils seizes every opportunity to convert demeritorious beings and to bring happiness and benefit upon them. 10. Devil King, who swallows fierce animals which cause harm to people. 11. Devil king who carries stone and sand to fill up seas and rivers, when necessary, to bring benefit to people. 12. Devil king who brings poverty and suffering to sinners, so as to see that they suffer and repent. But he bestows treasure and happiness upon the good as soon as they start to practice benevolent deeds. 13. Devil king who distributes food to the good, but for the wicked, he makes them suffer hunger. 14. Devil king who is responsible for punishing all misers, who, though rich, never practice benevolence. 71. 15. Devil king who controls wicked animals. 16. Devil king who controls births of beings as well as their length of life. 17. Devil king who brings sickness to sinners. 18. Devil king who is in charge of all kinds of danger. A. To bring danger to sinners as punishment. B. To save the good from danger. 19. Devil king with 3 eyes, 4 eyes, or 5 eyes. 20. Devil king who punishes all devils for criminal acts, like theft of property or robbery during their lifetime. But for the good, he helps them to accomplish all their wishes. All the above named great kings of devils, together with numerous inferior devil kings, arrived at Tasika heaven, with Emperor Yama to worship the Buddha. These kings of devils as well as those of the inferior group have different duties to perform, either to punish those who commit sins or to bring happiness and benefit to those who do good deeds. 72. It is natural, through the ubiquitous supernatural powers of the Sakyamuni Buddha, the honored of the world, and the Kasit-Gyarba Bodhisattva, that these kings were well received into Tasika heaven and that they all assembled respectfully in a row. Just at that time, the Emperor Yama knelt before the Buddha and said, "Honored of the world, we are immensely indebted to your supernatural powers and the valuable assistance of the Kasit-Gyarba Bodhisattva to ENA. Lead us all to pay homage and respect here at this great assembly. We are exceedingly happy to be blessed with this golden opportunity to gather here and to have your valuable advice. May your attention be drawn to a little problem which is puzzling us. May I have the honor of requesting you to be kind enough to supply us with a calm, passionate explanation." The Buddha then told Emperor Yama, "You are at liberty to ask any question freely, and I shall provide you with a proper and detailed answer." Emperor Yama paid full respect to Sakyamuni Buddha, turned with a look at Kasit-Gyarba Bodhisattva and said, 73. My honored of the world, it is indeed a wonderful guess toured by Kasit-Gyarba Bodhisattva to venture unremittingly, through various ways and means, to relieve the beings from the 6 directions of reincarnation. But I wish to know why beings who have just been relieved from punishment commit sins again which cause them to be cast into the state of suffering once more. Honored of the world, since the Kasit-Gyarba Bodhisattva is so wonderfully compassionate towards erring beings, why must they ignore following his way of leading a virtuous life and gaining salvation forever? If you please, my Buddha, Kindly furnish me with the necessary solution. The honored of the world then told Emperor Yama, it is extremely difficult to control and convert the erring beings of the samsara world. There is no doubt that the compass Cyanid Bodhisattva is striving his utmost to bring erring beings to salvation through kalpas and kalpas. Even though sinful beings have been cast into the great hells for punishment, the Bodhisattva is trying his best to lead them to live a virtuous life and to bestow upon them the power of remembering their past deeds. Because erring beings of the samsara world are prone to committing sins, that is why shortly after they are relieved from their sufferings, 74. They will commit sins again and thus receive punishment once more. It is, in fact, a great pity for the compassionate Bodhisattva to be working so earnestly through kalpas and kalpas to relieve erring beings from their sufferings. 1. Example of which is a man, having lost his way while returning home, found himself in the dangerous situation where the surroundings were full of yaksas, fierce animals, and poisonous insects. By chance, he met a wise man who happened to know the way of calming yaksas, beasts, and insects. The wise man, upon seeing the danger, asked anxiously, "My man, why do you come this way? Do you have any means of controlling these fierce animals?" Upon hearing such words, the man realized that he was at that moment walking along a dangerous road. The wise man then caught hold of his hand and led him from that dangerous road by showing him the way to the path of peace and happiness. Once again, he addressed the man. "Oh, my man, be wise now and never tread this road again, as once you get into this way, it is very difficult for you to get out of it and you will surely perish within." 75. The erring man was very grateful, and rejoiced at being led out of danger. Before his departure, the wise man again said to him, "Whenever you meet any of your friends or strangers, either male or female, tell them that this road is full of danger. If they come to this road by mistake, they will lose their lives. Tell them not to be foolish and not to face danger unnecessarily." The compassionate Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva relieved erring beings from their sufferings and directed them either to heaven or to the human world to enjoy great happiness. These beings were then made to realize how one must suffer according to one's misdeeds and how one could enjoy according to one's good actions. Then they would never again commit sins and be cast into the hell anymore. It is very similar to one who had lost his way home and by mistake found himself on the dangerous road and was finally taken away from danger by a wise man. He, too, must remember never to tread such a dangerous road again. Whenever he met a friend or a stranger, he advised them not to tread that dangerous path. When one is free from danger, he should have the wisdom of not taking such a 76. Risk again. If one enters such a dangerous path once more, by mistake, it reveals that he does not have sufficient understanding and may lose his or her life therein. It is similar to one being cast into the evil realms for suffering. The compassionate bodhisattva tries his best to lead beings out of the hells and directs them on the way to salvation or to be reborn as human beings. They might be ignorant of the results of sins and commit evil again, and according to the karma, they would be cast into hell to suffer without any hope of being released. At that time, the devil king of poison, the poison of evil actions, words, and thoughts, said to the Sakyamuni Buddha respectfully with clasped hands, honored of the world, we innumerable kings of devils from every corner of the samsara world are either to bring benefit and happiness to human beings or to cause them sufferings according to their deeds. We have traveled to all corners of the universe and we are convinced that there are more evil than good human beings. We promise you that whenever or wherever we come across a male or female in any part of the world who though seen practicing only a small fraction of good or making any kind of offerings to the images 77 of Buddhas or Bodhisattvas or is heard chanting a sentence or poem of the sutras, my followers and I shall treat such persons respectfully as if we pay homage to the Buddhas of the present, past, and the future. We shall instruct our followers and the spirits from different places to protect such virtuous beings. We shall never allow any unhappy occasions, disease, or any undesirable events from happening, not only to their homes, but also in places close to their residences. Sakyamuni Buddha was highly delighted and said, Well, since Emperor Yama and your followers are ready to protect such virtuous beings, I shall also instruct the ruler of Brahmaloka and the emperor of the 33 heavens to protect you all. After the interesting discourse, the devil king, who was in charge of the longevity of people's lives, rose up from the assembly and spoke to Sakyamuni Buddha, my honored of the world, it is my duty to be in charge of the longevity of human beings in the human world, either during their lifetime or after their death. It is my earnest wish to bring benefit and happiness to human beings, but I observe with sadness that many of the human beings do not realize my 78 intention to relieve them. As a result, evil ones are not at peace during their lifetime or after their death. When plea in this human world are expecting birth of a boy or girl, they should practice meritorious deeds, for such good deeds bring benefit and happiness to the family. My followers and spirits of that place will not only protect both the mother and the newly born child, but will bestow upon them and their relatives great peace and happiness fully. For this reason, when a child is born to a family, it is desirable not to kill any animals as supplement for any tonic for the mother, or to invite friends or relatives in the child's honor by offering or entertaining them with wine, meat and music. Such ways of celebrating the birth of child will never bring happiness to either the mother or the child. For when a pregnant woman is ready for delivery of her child, there are numerous evil devils seen by the side of the mother to suck her blood. In order to safeguard the mother, I usually order the spirit of that place to come and protect the mother and child, and to bring them peace and happiness. When the mother and child are at peace after birth, they should make offerings to the spirits to express their gratitude for the protection given. If, instead of offerings to the spirits, friends and relatives are entertained by 79. The killing of animals, both the mother and the newly born child will suffer punishment. When a person in this human world is nearing death, I always try my best to prevent this dying person, irrespective of whether the being is a good or an evil person, from being cast into the evil state. If this dying person has been doing good deeds during his or her lifetime, my power of relieving him or her will be successful. Even in the case of a person who has done good deeds throughout his life, there may be innumerable evil spirits in the form of their past parents or relatives to tempt the dying person to the evil state of suffering. If the dying son has done bad deeds during his life, these evil spirits will no doubt be successful in arresting him or her to the state of suffering. Honored of the world, if people in the samsara world, either male or female, be seen unconscious during their moment of death, when they cannot distinguish the good from the bad, at such a moment they will not be able to see or hear. That is the time for the relatives of this dying son to chant the sutra and to make offerings to the images 80 of the Buddha as well as the Bodhisattva, for these good deeds will help to drive away the evil spirits. The Buddha and the Bodhisattva will keep the dying person away from the evil state. Honored of the world, if all dying persons have an opportunity of hearing only the name of one Buddha or one Bodhisattva, or the chanting of the sutra, or even the chanting of one sentence or one poem of any sutra, I can assure you that these dying persons will be kept away from the 5 Abhasai hells. If a dying person has committed only small evil deeds which will cause him to be cast into the evil state for punishment, he will be relieved upon hearing the name of the Buddha or Bodhisattva or even the chanting of the sutra. Sakyamuni Buddha then replied to the devil king who was in charge of birth and death by saying, "It is very kind of you to make such a strong vow with your infinite loving kindness to protect human beings, male or female, during their lifetime or after death. I earnestly hope that you will try your best to carry out your vow without ceasing, so that you will be able to relieve all these erring beings to solve time and to bring them everlasting happiness." 81. The devil king, who was in charge of birth and death, said, "Please do not be worried, for I shall continuously try my utmost to protect the beings in the samsara world, both at the moment of their birth and at the moment of their death, and thus enable them to be in peace and happiness. I strongly look forward to the occasion when all human beings will listen to my words so as to achieve real salva-time and to attain great benefit." At that time, Sakyamuni Buddha told Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, "This devil king of birth and death has been a great king of devils for many thousands of lives. He has done his best to protect human beings at their moment of birth and at their moment of death. In fact, he is not a devil. as supposed, but out of compassion and great infinite love. In kindness, he has transformed himself into the form of a devil. He will attain Buddhahood after 170 kalpas by the name of Nirlaksana Buddha. He will live a long life for countless and happy kalpas in a world named purity. The story of this great king of devils is beyond thought or description, and persons converted by him are also uncountable. 82. Chapter 9. The Chanting of the Buddha's Name. At that time, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva said to Sakyamuni, Buddha, honored of the world, let me now declare how human beings in the future will acquire great benefit and happiness during their lifetime and at the moment of their death. I anticipate you to be congenial enough to listen to me. Sakyamuni Buddha then disclosed to Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, it is because of your compassionate, infinite, loving kindness that you long to assert about a possible tendency of relieving all the erring beings from the 6 states of reincarnation. Of course, it is the proper time. Now, please speak promptly, as I am about to enter Nibbana. I wish to bless you with success in discharging the strong vows, so that I shall have no worry about human beings in the future. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva told the exalted Buddha, Hun, Lord of the world, I name below a list of Buddhas for your hearing. 83. 1. Ananta, immeasurable, Buddha. Innumerable kalpas ago there was a Buddha by the name of Ananta, immeasurable, Buddha. Any male or female who has a chance of listening to the name of this Buddha, even only entertaining a short thought of respect for him, will be able to escape 40 kalpas of suffering from birth and death. People will attain infinite happiness if he or she makes images of this Buddha, gives offerings, and admires him. 2. Precious nature Buddha. Again, innumerable kalpas ago, there was a Buddha by the name of precious nature. Any male or female who has a chance of listening to this Buddha and creates a thought of respect towards him, will finally attain Buddhahood. 3. Padmapani Buddha. Again, there was a Buddha by the name of Padmapani, one of the forms of Avalokitesvara, Kuan Yin, the goddess of mercy, holding a lotus. Any male or female who has the opportunity of listening to the name of this Buddha will merit by a rebirth in the 6. 84. Devalokas, i.e. heaven of desire, for 1,000 times and be within the bliss of Buddhahood. 4. Simhananda Buddha. Innumerable kalpas ago, there was a Buddha by the name of Simhananda Buddha, a term designating authoritative of powerful approach. Any male or female who has the chance of listening to the name of this Buddha and thinking of him with deep respect will benefit in the meeting of countless Buddhas with their blessings by finally attaining Buddhahood. 5. Krakachanda Buddha. Again, there was a Buddha by the name of Krakachanda, the first of the Buddhas of the present Vajrakalpa, the fourth of the 7 ancient Buddhas. Any male or female who has a chance of listening to the name of this Buddha, and shows earnest respect to him by admiring him, will become Mahabrahmanas at an assembly of 1,000 Buddhas during the Bhadrakalpa. With blessings from this Buddha, he or she will attain Buddhahood later. One can get better merit if one chants the name of this Buddha earnestly. 85. 6. Vipasyan Buddha. Again, there was a Buddha by the name of Vipasyan. Any male or female who has a chance to listen to the name of this Buddha will not be cast into the evil state of sufferings. He or she will always be reborn in heaven or as a human being to be benefited with great happiness. 7. Ratnakata Buddha. Again, innumerable kalpas ago, there was a Buddha by the name of Ratnakata Buddha. Any male or female who happens to listen to the name of this Buddha will never be cast into the state of sufferings, and will always be reborn in heaven to enjoy great bliss. 8. Precious Light Buddha. Again, there was a Buddha by the name of Precious Light. Any male or female who happens to listen to the name of this Buddha and to think of him with respect will become an arahat within a short period. 86. 9. Kaseya Buddha. Again, there was a Buddha by the name of Kaseya. Any male or female who has a chance to listen to the name of this Buddha will escape 100 kalpas of punishment of birth and death. 10. Mahapijana Jainanadhibha Buddha. Again, there was a Buddha by the name of Mahapijana Jainanadhibha. Any male or female who has a chance of listening to his name will have the opportunity of meeting innumerable Buddhas to preach to him or her and finally attain Buddhahood. There are also other Buddhas as in the following. 1. The Buddha by the name of Pure Moonlight. 2. The Buddha by the name of King of Mountains. 3. The Buddha by the name of King of Purification. 4. The Buddha by the name of Victorious Wisdom. 5. The Buddha by the name of Accomplishment of Wisdom. 6. The Buddha by the name of Superiority. 7. The Buddha by the name of Wonderful Voice. 8. The Buddha by the name of Full Moonlight. 9. The Buddha by the name of Moonlight Faces, well as a great number to be acquainted with. 87. Honored of the world, all beings whether from the heaven or from the human realms, either male or female, of the present or the future, who can chant the name of one of the above Buddhas, will gain immeasurable merit. He or she will receive more merit if he or she chants the names of more Buddhas. Such beings will attain great benefit during their lifetime or even after death. They will never be cast into the evil state of sufferings. If the relatives of the dying person chant the name of only one Buddha, the dying person will be relieved from the punishment of his sins, except the punishment in the Abhisai hells. The punishment in the Abhisai hells is so great that the sinners who commit great sins will find it difficult to escape from such punishment through millions of kalpas. If others can chant the names of Buddhas for the dying person, his or her punishment will gradually be lightened. It is better if the dying person can also chant the names of Buddhas, for he or she will receive immeasurable happiness and avoid countless punishment for misdeeds commit while alive. 88. Chapter 10. The Comparison of Merits. For almsgiving. At that time, the Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, under the supernatural power of Sakyamuni Buddha, rose from his seat and knelt down with clasped hands, saying to him, Lord of the world, I can see that the comparison of merits for almsgiving differ from each other in small or great ways. Some receive their reward for only 1 life, some receive their reward for 10 lives, and some even receive great bliss for hundreds of thousands of lives. I do not know the reason why it differs in such a great way and hope that you will graciously explain it to me. The Sakya Muni Buddha replied, Now, I shall give you the comparison of merits, whether great or small, as rewards for the sentient beings who practice almsgiving in the Jampad Vipa. I tell all who are assembled here at the 33 heavens, and I hope you will listen to me carefully. Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva said to Sakyamuni Buddha, I'm quite doubtful about this and I would like to hear the comparison of merits for almsgiving. 89. The Sakyamuni Buddha said, If kings, nobles, honorable elders, Mahakasatriyas, great Brahmins in Jamapapa, the continent situated at the south of Mount Sumeru, comprising of the world we live in, come across people who suffer great poverty, or unreformed beings, if such people as those mentioned give alms to them through great compassion, love, and kindness, smilingly, and give gifts to those poor beings with their own hands or through their representatives and talk to them in consoling tones. Such donors of gifts gain merit as great as the total number of grains of sands in the Ganges River. It is because these donors of gifts are practicing infinite love and kindness, even to the poorest and the lowest earths and unreformed beings, that is why for hundreds of thousands of lives they receive their well-earned good merits of the 7 jewels of riches. They are well provided for in good food and clothing in those lives yet to come. Again, if kings, nobles, and Brahmins come across Buddhist images of Buddhas, temples or pagodas, bodhisattvas, arahats, and Sika Buddhas in the lives to come, if they prepare alms givings and offerings, offering them personally, such general Eris donors will be reborn as kings of the 33 heavens, receiving great bliss for 3 kalpas. If these donors transfer their merit to the beings of the 10 quarters 90 of space, these donors will become Mahabrahma Devarajas, kings, or the 18 Brahma Lokas, for 10 kalpas continuously. Again, if in the future, kings, prime ministers, nobles, honorable elders, Mahakasatriyas, and Brahmins come across Buddhist pagodas and temples or Buddhist sutras and images which are in bad condition and with determination for their repair, or rebuild them, such general Eris donors, whether they practice almsgiving themselves or persuade others to do almsgiving or charitable acts, whether they persuade one person or many hundreds of thousands of people to practice the same charitable acts, these charitable donors will be reborn as Chakravarti for hundreds of thousands of lives. Those who have been encouraged and persuaded by the above donors to practice almsgiving will be reborn as kings of small countries for hundreds of thousands of lives. If, moreover, they transfer their merit to others in the presence of the Buddhas, pagodas or temples, such great donors of gifts will all attain Buddhahood. The reward for practicing such great merit is beyond all description. If, in the future, kings, prime ministers, nobles, when they see aged ones suffering from dis-ease, women giving birth, if they have but one momentary thought of sympathy, to give them aid, medicines, food, and drink, or bathings, so as to assure them some measure 91 of peace and happiness, such merits are inconceivable, and donors of these things will always be reborn as a Sutta Vasudeva for 100 kalpas. After this period, they will be always reborn in the 6 Devalokas, i.e. the heavens of desire, for 200 kalpas. Finally, they will attain Buddhahood, but prior to that for hundreds and thousands of births, they will never be reborn as dwellers in evil realms or hear any voice of suffering. If kings of countries or Brahmins in the future can practice such meritorious deeds, they will receive boundless blessings. If they transfer their merits to others, whether great or small merit, they will be reborn as Chakravartis and finally attain Buddhahood. That is why, Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, you should do your utmost to encourage sentient beings to practice meritorious deeds by following these examples. If virtuous people in the future will practice meritorious deeds even as small as a hair, or a grain of sand, or a dust mote, they will receive blessings and benefits which cannot be expressed by examples, as they will be so great. If virtuous people of future times meet with images of Buddha, Bodhisattvas, Pratyeka Buddhas, or Chakravartis 92, and make offerings to them, they will also receive numerous blessings and benefits, and will always be reborn, either as humans or devas, enjoying great bliss. If such people will transfer their merits to the beings of the 10 quarters of space, such donors will get great benefits and blessings beyond all statement by examples. If virtuous persons of future times come across Mahayanist sutras, or hear only one stanza or even one sentence of the sutras, and have a feeling of deep respect for that utterance, or if they sincerely praise the sutras, or make offerings piously, they will receive innumerable merits. If they will transfer their merits to the beings of the 10 quarters of space, their blessings are beyond all words. If virtuous persons of future times come to new Buddhist pagodas, new temples, new Mahayanist sutras, and make offerings, paying homage with reverent attitudes of deepest respect, and if they come across old or destroyed ones, and make a vow to repair or restore these structures, or shall encourage others to do this meritorious work with them, such virtuous people who respond to this encouragement shall be born as kings of countries for 30 lives, and the Agar himself will always be reborn as a Chakravarti and will Preach Buddha Dharma to the kings of countries. If for 293. Us people of future times will practice good deeds according to the Buddha's teachings, or make offerings for repairing Buddhist pagodas or temples or mending Buddhist sutras, their merit, small as a hair though it be, or a dust mote or a grain of sand or a drop of water, if they will transfer such merits to beings of the 10 realms of space. Such meritorious persons will receive inconceivably great bliss for hundreds of thousands of lives. If they will transfer their merits to their family and relatives, their relatives will receive happiness for 3 lives. To give one benefit is to receive hundreds of thousands in return. That is why Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva, the merit of almsgiving is of such magnitude. 94. Chapter 11. Earthly Spirits Protecting the Dhamma. At that time, the spirit of the strong earth said to the Sakyamuni Buddha, honored of the world, in the past, I have paid homage to innumerable Mahabodhisattvas, who possessed inconceivable honor and wisdom and who have converted boundless sentient beings. Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva made strong and deep vows among these Bodhisattvas. Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva has great relationship between the sentient beings in Jamatpapa, such as Manjusri, Samantabhadra Bodhisattvas, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva and Maitreya Buddha, all of whom make hundreds of thousands of transformations to convert the erring beings of the 6 directions of reincarnation, and their vows have already been achieved. Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva made strong vows, as many as the grains of sands of the Ganges River, to convert the sentient beings of the 6 directions of reincarnation. Honored of the world, I can see that the sentient beings of the present and future can make images of Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva in iron, brass, silver, gold or simple drawings and enshrine them in cases. 95. Either of earth, stone, bamboo, or wood, and keep the cases in a neat place in the south of their residence of purity, and pay homage to the Bodhisattva with the deepest reverence and earnest admiration, and make scented offerings. Such pious persons will receive 10 kinds of benefits around their residences. What are the 10 kinds of benefits? They are as follows. 1. Their soil will be rich by producing good harvest. 2. The whole family will be in peace forever. 3. All deceased relatives will be born in the heavens. 4. All the living relatives will have longevity. 5. All of their aspirations will be achieved. 6. They will never suffer the danger of flood and fire. 7. All bad becomings will be done away with. 8. They will never have bad dreams. 9. They will be protected by guardians wherever they go. 10. They will always come across holy conditions. Honored of the world, sentient beings at present and in the future will receive the same kinds of benefit if they practice the same kinds of merit and offerings at their 96 residences. Honored of the world, if sentient beings in the future keep the Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva Sutra or Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva's images in their homes, or if they also chant the Sutra of Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva or make offerings to Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva, I shall do my very best to protect such persons day and night always, and they will never come across floods, fire, robbery, theft, destructive calamities or any other disastrous happenings, either big or small. Sakyamuni Buddha told the spirit of the strong earth, you are powerful and other spirits can not be compared to yourself. It is because all those sentient beings in the Jamatpapa are protected by you. Every material, from a grain of sand to the most precious jewel, is produced from the earth through your infinite powers. And you are praising the meritorious deeds of Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva. Your merits and your powers are 1,000 times greater than those of other earthly spirits. If sentient beings of the future make offerings to Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva or chant the Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva Sutra or lead a meritorious life according to the teachings of Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva, you should protect them all with your supernatural powers and prevent all of them from suffering and not even allow them to come across any unhappy circumstances or even allow such unhappy 97 peanings to come to their ears. They are not only protected by your good self, but they are also protected by the devas. By paying homage to the images of Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva or chanting the Ksatagarbha Sutra, they will not only be protected by divine beings but will be free from the ocean of sufferings and finally attain Nibbana. 98. Chapter 12. The Benefit Through Sight. Hearing. At that time, Sakyamuni Buddha, the honored of the world, was radiating various kinds of great, blazing, perfectly colored lights from the crown of his head. The head controls the whole body and the crown of the head is the superior of the whole. The Buddha radiated light from the crown of his head to show to the gathering that he himself also has the highest respect for the Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva and his sutra. After radiating different kinds of lights, the Buddha also produced wonderful sounds. His intention of showing light and producing sounds was to communicate to the gathering that excellent benefit can be obtained from sight and hearing. The different colors of light revealed to the gathering that sentient beings of different types might be ignorant in committing sins and be cast into the hells for punishment. Yet they would have every opportunity and pleasure of being relieved by the Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva out of their 99 sufferings and also be guided to the path of righteousness, and finally attain Buddhahood. For light represents scenic wisdom which enlightens beings in every none of all universes without exception. The honored of the world addressed all those who were present at the 33 heavens, praising the Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva for bringing inconceivable benefit to devas and human beings, and telling them how Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva practiced meritorious deeds during his career of following the 10 stages leading to Buddhahood, never retreating, but forging ahead to Nibbana. After what Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva had said, there was one Maha Bodhisattva named Avalokitesvara who rose from the seat kneeling down before the Sakyamuni Buddha with clasped hands, and spoke to Sakyamuni Buddha respectfully. Honored of the world, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva has great compassion on sentient beings and practices infinite loving kindness by having incalculable transformations to lead sentient beings out of their sufferings. The meritorious deeds and the infinite powers of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva are beyond description. I heard you, the honored of the world, and innumerable Buddhas of the 10 quarters of space all praising Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, saying that the 100 merits of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva are so great that even Buddhas of the past, present and the future cannot give the fullest account of them. You, honored of the world, have been so kind as to promise to tell all who are present here the profound active ITYs of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. We earnestly hope that you will be kind enough, for the benefit of the sentient beings of the present and the future, to describe the inexpressible benefits and blessings he has conferred on sentient beings, and thus let everyone in the 8 categories know how to pay respect to Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva in order to attain happiness. The Sakyamuni Buddha told the Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, you have a close relationship with the sentient beings of the samsara world, whether they be devas, dragons, males, females, spirits, devils, and all the erring beings of the 6 categories of beings who hear your name, see your image, admire your dignity, praise your profound kindness, all of them will proceed straight to the attainment of Buddhahood without retreat. Before they attain Buddhahood, they will always be reborn as devas or as human beings, enjoying great bliss. When they have earned enough merit, 101 it's of good deeds, then they will meet Buddhas who will predict their attainment of Buddhahood. Now, through having a great compassion for the erring beings of the sentient worlds, you request me to tell you the inconceivable benefit Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva confers on sentient beings. I will certainly do this and hope that you will listen attentively. Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva replied, please do so. Honored of the world, Sakyamuni Buddha told Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, when the happiness of devas in the 10 quarters of space, in the future or past comes to an end, they have 5 signs of decay and are to be cast into the evil realms. If these devas, when the 5 signs of decay are approaching them, have the opportunity of seeing the image once or paying homage to Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva only once, such devas will have increased happiness and will never be cast into the 3 evil realms forever. If these devas make offerings to Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, such as scented flowers, clothing, food and drink, precious jewels, etc., they will receive innumerable happiness and benefits in return. If sentient beings of the 6 categories of beings of the present and the future in different worlds, 102, hear the name of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva at their dying stage, they will never be reborn to the 3 evil realms. If parents or relatives of the dying person sell all of his belongings, riches, properties, and use the money to make images of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, then the dying person comes to know the meritorious deeds done on his behalf. Although the person should suffer a severe disease according to his own karma, instead he fully recovers very quickly and has longevity. If the dying person loses his life according to his karma, and should be cast into the evil realms, due to the meritorious deeds done on his behalf, all of his punishments will be extinguished and he will be born as a deva or human being, enjoying great bliss. If sentient beings of the present or the future who have lost their parents, sisters, or brothers during their early childhood and think of their deceased relatives when they are fully grown and long to know where they have been reborn, such grown-up sons can make images of Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, hearing his name, admiring his image or paying homage to him, from 1 day to 7 days continuously without any retreat, although the deceased relatives may merit being cast into the evil realms for kalpas, due to the meritorious 103 deeds practiced on their behalf, they are freed from their punishment and will be reborn either as devas or humans, receiving great bliss. If the deceased relatives of such meritorious persons have already been reborn as devas or human beings according to their karma with great happiness on account of what their relatives have practiced on their behalf, they shall receive even greater happiness and infinite bliss. If such grown-up persons can continue to pay respect to the Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva's images continuously, chanting his name innumerable times for 21 days, whole-heartedly, then Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva will appear before them and tell them the exact places where their deceased relatives have been reborn, or through the supernatural powers of the Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, they will be taken by him to the various realms personally to see where their former relatives are. If they can chant the name of the Bodhisattva for 1,000 times every day and continue to do so for 1,000 days, the Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva will send forth earthly spirits to protect them throughout their lives, and they will enjoy happiness, prosperity, and longevity, and 104 will not experience suffering or sorrow. Neither will they come across unhappiness, nor shall evil enter their homes. Finally, they will attain Buddhahood. If there are people, either male or female, in the future who desire to relieve sentient beings, to practice compassionate deeds, to convert sentient beings, and to possess great wisdom in order to get out of their suffering of the Trilokas, such persons, if they see the image of Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva and chant the name of Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, taking refuge in Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, making offerings, or paying homage to Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, all their wishes will be achieved without any obstacle forever. If the sentient beings of the present and future have innumerable wishes, or they have the desire of doing innumerable good deeds, they will be successful in all of their aspirations if they pay respect to Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, praising him, taking him as their refuge, or paying homage to his image. If such persons long for Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva to protect them forever, they will see Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva in their dreams, to predict that they will be able to attain Buddhahood. Even if males and females in The future have great faith in the Mahayana Sutra and aspire to read and recite this sutra, though they are taught. 105. By clever teachers, they may forget it due to their ignorance brought about by previous bad karma, but when they hear the name of Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva or see his image or likeness, and make various offerings to him and place a cup of pure water in front of him for one day and one night, then with clasped hands and with deepest reverent facing south, they may drink the water with great faith. After drinking the water, they must abstain from all evil deeds and observe the precepts piously for 7 days or 21 days. By so doing, these persons will see the Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva in various manifestations in the dream state, showing the Bodhisattva pouring water of wisdom on their heads. Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva will endow these persons with wisdom. Upon awakening, they will then have sufficient wisdom to understand the sutra, remembering every sentence and stanza forever. If people in the future suffer from insufficient food and clothing, unsuccessful in whatever they wish to do, always attacked by sickness or disastrous happenings, finding no peace in their family life, separated from their beloved ones, seeing only dreadful things in their dreams or are 106. Met by other calamities that befall them, if such sorrowful beings hear the name of Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva or see his images or chant his name 10,000 times with deepest reverence, their unhappiness will disappear gradually. They will live in peace and happiness. If virtuous people in the future, due to their personal busyness or public affairs or any other important functions, have to travel through deep forests, to cross rivers or seas with strong rapids, or to walk on dangerous paths, such people, if they chant the name of Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva 10,000 times, then wherever they go or whatever they do, they will always be protected by spirits and devas, and will have happiness and peace forever. Even if they come across dangerous animals such as tigers, wolves or lions, these can never do harm to such virtuous persons. Sakyamuni Buddha then told Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, the Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva has a close relationship with the sentient beings of Jambudvipa. If we want to speak about the happiness and benefits which Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva confers upon sentient beings, it will take hundreds of thousands of kalpas, and still we would not be able to cover the full account. That is why you, Avalokitesvara 107. Through your supernatural powers, should do your utmost to propagate the Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva Sutra, so that sentient beings in the samsara world will have the opportunity to enjoy happiness and peace for millions of kalpas. At that time, the Sakyamuni Buddha spoke again in stanzas. Even if we spoke for kalpas, we could not describe in detail Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva's supernatural powers, which are as many as the grains of sands in the Ganges River. Seeing, hearing, or paying homage to Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva, even for a moment of thought, will bring innumerable benefits to human beings as well as devas. If human beings, dragons, or spirits are cast into the evil realms according to their karma, they will be exonerated from punishment if they take their refuge in Ksiddhagarbha. Bodhisattva. If people who have lost their parents or beloved ones during their infancy wish to know where their deceased relatives have been reborn, Ksiddhagarbha, Bodhisattva will transform himself into various manifesta Tyans and personally show them the places where their relatives are, provided that they make images of Ksiddhagarbha. Bodhisattva, pay homage to him and continue to chant his name 1,000 times a day for 21 days continuously. Even though the deceased relatives have been cast 108 into evil realms, they will be relieved of suffering by Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva. If they continue to chant and do such virtuous activities, these persons will receive the opportunity of attaining Buddhahood. If people wish to practice the Bodhisattva career and get out of the 3 worlds of suffering, they should first pay homage to Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva's image, and all their aspirations will be achieved and they will never come across any obstacles. Secondly, if people make a vow to chant sutras and lead erring beings to salvation, although they make a very good vow, but owing to their previous karma they are very forgetful through bad memory, if such persons make offerings to Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva such as scented flowers, clothing, food, and drink, or by placing a cup of pure water on Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva's altar for 1 day and 1 night and then drink the water after praying, and if such persons observe the 5 precepts for 21 days, remembering or thinking of Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva's name with deepest reverence, they will attain wisdom after seeing numerous transformations of Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva in their dreams and remember whatever sutra that comes to their ears, for hundreds of 109 thousands of births, they will attain such wisdom through the supernatural powers of Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva. Thirdly, if people suffering from poverty, sickness, misfortune in the family, separated from beloved ones, troubled dreams, unsuccessful in whatever they wish for, if such persons pay homage to Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva's image, all their undesirable conditions will disappear. They are protected by spirits and devas and will enjoy life with sufficiency in everything. If people come across dangerous animals, wicked people, fierce spirits, or devils, natural disasters, when they travel in the forests or across the seas, if they pay homage to Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva and make offerings to him, all of the Enam disasters will be prevented. Sakyamuni Buddha said to Avalokitesvara, "Listen to me." To describe the supernatural powers of the Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva would take endless kalpas and still I would not be able to enumerate them all. People receive great bliss if they hear Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva's name and pay homage to his image and make offerings to him. If they transfer their merit to the 110 beings of the 10 quarters of space, they will be relieved of the sufferings of birth and death and finally attain Buddhahood. That is why, Avalokitesvara, you must familiarize people in as many countries as the grains of sands in the Ganges River with the incalculable attributes of Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva. 111. Chapter 13. Sakyamuni Buddha's instruction to human beings. Devas. At that time, Sakyamuni Buddha raised his golden arms, touching Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva's head and said, Ksatai Garbha Bodhisattva, Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva, your super-natural power, your infinite loving kindness, your Wisconsin DOM and your eloquent millions of kalpas to praise you, and your incomparable activities, yet they can never give the fullest account. Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva, Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva, remember that I am standing in the presence of such a multitude who have assembled at these 33 heavens to declare unto you that you must not allow any sentient beings to fall into the evil state of suffering for even one day and one night. So much the more, you should never allow them to be cast to the 5 abyssal hells, or the last and the deepest of the 8 hot hells, where they culprits suffer, die, or instantly return to suffering without interruption for millions of kalpas. Sentient beings are prone to evil habits, and when they reform they easily 112 yield to temptation, backslide, and, worst of all, the bad habits will multiply. That is why it is necessary to have lions and millions of transformations to aid each erring one according to his own weakness and avoid it. Ksatagar Bha Bodhisattva, I now place the guardianship of all these beings into your hands. Encourage even the slightest of good deeds, and encourage beings, either devas or human beings, male or female, never to discontinue their efforts to practice even a small good deed. It is your profound duty, through your supernatural powers, to protect such beings and help them to improve their good deeds without relenting. In future, if any beings have karma that brings them into hell and can remember the name of one Buddha, or one Bodhisattva, or one passage, or even one sentence from the Mahayana Sutra, when they reach the gate of the hell, then through your supernatural powers, you should lead these beings out of their sufferings. Show them your various transformations and bring them to salvation to enjoy supreme bliss. At that time, Sakyamuni Buddha spoke in stanzas, Now I place in your hands sentient beings of the present and future, and I exhort you never to allow any sentient beings 113 to fall into any of the evil worlds, by your supernatural powers and obligations. At that time, Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva knelt down with clasped hands and spoke to Sakyamuni Buddha, Hun, Art of the world, please do not be worried, if any sentient beings of the future have only one thought of respect for the Buddha's teachings, I shall endeavor to the utmost to relieve such people out of the sufferings of birth and death, and lead them to salvation by numerous ways and means. If I come to know any persons who practice meritorious deeds, I shall make a strong effort to help them to proceed to Buddhahood without falling back. At that time, one Bodhisattva by the name of Dharmakaya Bodhisattva said to Sakyamuni Buddha, Honored of the world, since I have come to this gathering and have heard the Buddha praising the inconceivable merits of Ksatagar Bha Bodhisattva, please tell me how many kinds of bani Fits will accrue to those who hear the Kesadigarbha Sutra, his name, or pay homage to his images. I ask this in order that I may help beings in the future. Sakyamuni Buddha told the Bodhisattva, listen to me carefully and I shall tell you in detail. If virtuous people of the future see the Kesadigar 114. Bha Bodhisattva's image, hear the Kesadigarbha Sutra, chant the Kesadigarbha Sutra, make offerings to Kesadigarbha Bodhisattva, pay homage to Kesadigarbha Bodhisattva, they will get 28 kinds of benefits as under. 1. They will be protected by devas and dragons. 2. Their ability to do good deeds will increase. 3. Opportunities for doing good will increase. 4. The will to approach Buddhahood will continue unfailingly. 5. Such people will enjoy sufficiency of food and clothing. 6. They will be free from all diseases. 7. They will never suffer from floods or fire. 8. They shall not fall victims to robbery and loss of goods. 9. They will be respected and admired by people. 10. They will be protected and assisted by spirits and devas. 11. Females shall be reborn as males. 12. The females will become daughters of kings and nobles. 13. They will be reborn with good complexion. 14. They will be reborn in the heavens for many lives. 15. They will be reborn as kings or rulers of countries. 115. 16. They will have the wisdom to recollect their previous lives. 17. They will be successful in all their aspirations. 18. They will have happy family relations. 19. They will be free from all disastrous happenings. 20. They will be free from bad karma forever. 21. Wherever they go, they shall be safe. 22. They shall always have peaceful dreams. 23. Their deceased relatives will be free from sufferings. 24. They will be reborn with happiness. 25. They will be praised by divine beings. 26. They will be intelligent and skillful. 27. They will have compassion for others. 28. They will finally attain Buddhahood. Again, Dharmakaya Bodhisattva, if devas, dragons, devils, or spirits hear the inconceivable merits of Kesadigarbha Bodhisattva, and praise Kesadigarbha Bodhisattva, they will attain 7 kinds of benefits as under. 1. They can attain the divine stages quickly. 2. They will be free from bad karma. 3. They will be protected by Buddhas. 4. They will proceed towards Buddhahood without falling back. 116. 5. Their energy of will to do right will be increased. 6. They will have the power to recollect past lives. 7. They will finally attain Buddhahood. When all these innumerable Buddhas, Mahabodhisattvas, devas, dragons etc., from the 10 quarters of space, had heard Sakyamuni Buddha praising the inconceivable, super Natural powers of Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, flower's end. Precious gems were seen falling down from heaven as offer. Thanks to Sakyamuni Buddha and Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva. With clasped hands and deep reverence, they all returned to their own realms.